dark attitude, there comes a point in life when silence stops being peaceful and starts becoming powerful. Not the kind of silence that hides weakness, but the kind that watches, learns, and waits. Because the truth is, the world doesn't respect softness anymore. It studies it, it uses it, and then it forgets it ever existed. So you change, not loudly, not dramatically, but slowly, dangerously. You stop explaining yourself. You stop proving your worth. You stop chasing people who only loved your presence when it was convenient. And suddenly, you become someone they don't recognize. Not because you're fake, but because you finally became real. You start understanding something deeper, that emotions are expensive. And not everyone deserves to afford yours. So you control them, not because you're heartless, but because you've felt too much before. You've seen what happens when you care too much. You've seen how people smile in front of you and betray you behind your back. So now, you observe more than you react. You listen more than you speak. And when you do speak, your words carry weight. You don't need to be loud to be dangerous. The most dangerous people are calm. They don't argue, they don't beg, they don't chase closure. They just leave and become better. And that silence, it's louder than any explanation you could have given. You stop trusting easily. Not because you're broken, but because you've learned. You've learned that loyalty is rare, respect is earned, and intentions are often hidden behind beautiful words. So now you watch actions, because actions don't lie. People do. You build a mindset that doesn't need validation. You don't care if they understand you. You don't care if they agree with you, because you've realized something powerful. Not everyone is meant to understand your evolution. Some people only knew the old version of you, the easy version, the forgiving version, but that version, it had to die. Now there's a different energy around you, colder, sharper, untouchable. Not toxic, just aware. You don't hate people, you just see them clearly now. And clarity changes everything. You become selective, with your time, with your energy, with your presence. Because you've understood one brutal truth. Not everyone deserves access to you. And once you realize that, you stop being available. You stop being easy. You stop being an option. You start walking alone more. Not because you're lonely, but because peace is better than fake company. Because drama doesn't impress you anymore. Attention doesn't control you anymore. And approval means nothing now. You've built something stronger, self-respect. You don't react to disrespect anymore. You don't argue. You don't explain. You just disconnect. Because not every battle deserves your energy. And not every person deserves your attention. Sometimes the strongest move is silence. Sometimes the strongest response is absence. You realize revenge is unnecessary. Because life has its own way of balancing things. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to show them what they lost. Because one day they'll see it themselves. And by then you won't care. You become disciplined. Not emotionally weak. Not easily distracted. Focused. Because pain taught you something comfort never could. Control. Control over your thoughts. Control over your reactions. Control over your life. And now you're not the same person anymore. You don't get attached quickly. You don't trust blindly. You don't forgive endlessly. You've set boundaries. And those boundaries, they protect your peace. People will call you different. Cold. Distant. Changed. But they don't understand you didn't change for no reason. You changed because you had to. Because being soft in a hard world only leads to one thing. Getting broken. So now you move differently. You think deeper. You feel less but understand more. And the scariest part, you're okay with losing people. Because you've learned, anything that costs your peace is too expensive. This is not darkness. This is awareness. This is not attitude. This is survival. And once you reach this level, you don't go back. Because you finally understand who you are. And more importantly, who you are not at some point, you stop asking why people changed. Because you finally understand they didn't. They just stopped pretending. That realization hits differently. It doesn't make you emotional. It makes you alert. Because now you see through everything, fake smiles, forced loyalty, temporary love. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So you adapt. Not to fit in, but to survive. You stop expecting honesty from people who lie to themselves. You stop expecting loyalty from people who can't even stay loyal to their own words. And slowly, you detach. Detachment isn't weakness, it's control. It's waking up one day and realizing you don't need to react to everything that disturbs you. It's understanding that not every emotion deserves to be expressed. Some things are better ignored. You become harder to read. Not mysterious, just private. Because you've learned that the less people know about you, the less they can use against you. So now you move in silence. You grow in silence. You win in silence. And that silence, it confuses people. Because they were used to the old you, the one who explained everything, who cared too much, who stayed too long. But this version leaves without warning. You stop fearing endings, because endings taught you something powerful. Nothing is permanent, not people, not feelings, not situations, so you stop holding on and start moving on. You don't chase closure anymore, because closure is a luxury most people will never give you. So you create your own. You accept what happened without needing explanations. And that's power. You start valuing distance. Not everyone deserves to be close to you, because closeness reveals your weaknesses. And not everyone is mature enough to respect them. Some people study your pain just to use it later, so you protect yourself. You don't trust words anymore. You trust patterns, because patterns never lie. They reveal intentions, even when words try to hide them. You become patient. Not because you're calm, but because you're calculating. You wait. You observe. You understand. And when you act, it's precise. You don't react emotionally anymore. You respond logically, because emotions make you vulnerable. And logic makes you dangerous. You stop trying to be understood, because you realize something most people never do. People only understand what benefits them. So you let them misunderstand you. Because explaining yourself to the wrong people is just another form of wasting energy. You stop seeking attention, because attention is cheap. What you want now is respect. And respect doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being solid. You become comfortable being alone, not lonely. Alone, there's a difference. Loneliness feels empty, but being alone, it feels powerful. Because now your happiness is no longer dependent on anyone else. You stop forgiving people the same way, not out of hatred, but out of awareness. You forgive, but you never forget the lesson. And you never allow the same mistake twice. You start setting silent boundaries. No announcements, no warnings, just distance. Because real boundaries don't need explanations. They need consistency. You understand people better now. Not because they changed, but because you finally started paying attention. You notice tone, energy, intentions. And once you notice those things, you realize not everyone is genuine. So you become selective, extremely selective. With who you trust, with who you spend time with who gets to know the real you. Because not everyone deserves access to your mind, your heart, your energy. You stop trying to fix people, because broken people don't want to be fixed. They want to stay broken and bring others down with them. So you let them be, and you walk away. You become disciplined in silence. You don't announce your moves. You don't share your plans, because you've learned. The more you talk, the less you do, so you do more and talk less. You stop reacting to negativity, because negativity feeds on reaction. And when you don't react, it dies. You become your own validation, no approval needed, no recognition required, because you know your worth. And once you know your worth, no one can lower it. Now, you're not the same person anymore. You don't break easily. You don't trust quickly. You don't love blindly. You've evolved into something colder but stronger. And the truth is, most people won't understand you anymore. They'll say you changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're different. And you'll just smile because they're right. You did change. You became someone who no longer tolerates disrespect. Someone who values peace over people. Someone who chooses silence over drama. This is not ego. This is self-protection. This is what happens when a person gets tired of being hurt and finally decides to become untouchable.